Hey guys, today we're going to talk about creating a pulsing tremolo effect on a guitar track similar to what we have in Green Day's Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Specifically, I want the tremolo to be locked to the project tempo. First, let's play back our original track so you can hear what we started with. I recorded this with my Les Paul through an Avid 11 rack to create a simple distorted guitar track. Before we get started with the actual editing, here's the final product. Alright, so to create this, all we need is a program with MIDI and a sidechain noise gate, so I'll be using Reaper. The first thing we do is record the guitar track. When you do this, it has to be with the project metronome so you can lock the effect to the MIDI track afterwards. Just make sure to set the tempo first and play along with the metronome as best as you can. After that, we need to create a MIDI track. For the MIDI track, I used a simple drum kit virtual instrument and just had a snare hit every 16th note. This won't be a part of the final song, it will just act as a trigger to release the noise gate. What I want to do next is record the snare hits as an audio track, just to make it a little easier to work with. Now I need to work with the signal routing to get the snare track as the auxiliary track on the guitar. I open the signal routing for the guitar track and set it to 4 tracks instead of 2. Then I add a receive from the snare. For the settings, I set the receive to be on the 3/4 stereo pair of the guitar track so it won't be audible, and I set it to pre-fader. With it being pre-fader, I can turn down the fader on the original snare track so it's not heard in the mix, but the signal will still be going fully to the guitar track. I'll use Reaper's built-in noise gate plugin as the noise gate that will create the tremolo. The first thing I need to do is set the detector to auxiliary input left and right. Now the noise gate detects the constant snare hits to tell it when to open instead of the guitar itself. This will allow the gate to release in time with the project, and by doing this I'll get the gate to open every 16th note instead of every quarter note when I strum the chords. After the detector is set, we can play the track on loop and begin adjusting the noise gate to get our effect. The very first slider to adjust is the threshold. First bring it up to 0, then slowly lower it back down until you start to hear the guitar come in. We want this low enough so it triggers with every snare hit, but not so low that it starts to prolong the opening of the gate. It should still close abruptly after opening. Right now the gate tremolo sound is really abrupt. It comes on basically instantaneously when the snare hits and then closes rather quickly without any fades or anything like that. To deal with how it comes on, I like to adjust the attack. I find this works well at around 35 milliseconds for this track. When you do this, it adds a 35 millisecond fade into the beginning of each gate opening. We start to get a smoother sound, but the delay can make the effect sound a little out of sync. To fix this, I add a little pre-opening, usually at about half the attack time. Since we're dealing with all digital audio, the pre-opening can act as a look ahead and start to open the attack before the threshold is reached. This pretty much takes care of that out of sync issue. Next, I adjust the hold and release. The release sets the fade out time, and I'll set it to 80 milliseconds to get a good smooth fade out without it lasting too long. Then I adjust the hold until the entire length of the gate opening is exactly how I want it to be. In this case, that's around 40 milliseconds. In some cases, you might also want to adjust the dry signal, that way even when the gate is closed, there's still some sound coming in and the tremolo effect doesn't drop the level all the way to 0. I don't want to use that for this tutorial, but I just thought I'd mention it's an option. So after all this work, we have a tremolo effect that will fit perfectly with our project tempo. This is a real advantage to do it this way since a lot of tremolo plugins will just have a speed control, but it doesn't necessarily lock to the project. This isn't an issue for most cases, but to achieve the effect like this, it's absolutely essential that it locks. Thanks for watching this video on how to use a noise gate as a tremolo effect. If you found it helpful, don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. You can also check out our social media links in the video description below to stay up to date on all our new content.